Hey everybody, welcome back to Tech Odyssey. So I'm back with my full review of the BlackBerry Classic. The BlackBerry Classic, surprisingly, it's coming up on 6 years old now already. It came out in June of 2014. There's still a lot of great things that you can still use this phone for, and I totally love it. And of course, it's my most favorite keyboard of all time. So before we get into that, I do want to say if this is your first time stopping by the channel, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching. If you enjoy the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell so you can get updates on the latest videos. Now let's take a look at the Classic. So the reason they call it the Classic is because it brings back the classic tool belt that was made famous with the BlackBerry Bold series devices. People loved it. I never actually had a Bold. I had the Pearl, and then I skipped some and went to the iPhone, and then I came back once the BlackBerry 10 operating system came out. But whenever they made the first BlackBerry 10 keyboard device, which was the Q10, you can see that it was missing the iconic tool belt, and a lot of people were kind of missing that. I was never a big tool belt fan, so I didn't miss it, but I did like having a larger keyboard. So as soon as they came out with the Classic, I went out and I bought one. This is not my original one. This is one I bought off of eBay. So some of the brief spec stuff, it has the exact same specs as the Z10 and also the Q10. It has the Qualcomm S4 processor in it, 1.5 gigahertz dual core, 2 gigabytes of RAM. It's got an 8 megapixel primary shooter on the back. It's got the 2 megapixel selfie camera on the front. They bumped the battery up to a little over 2,500 milliamps. But what was really nice, they really put a lot in the construction of this device. It's plastic, it's got the rubberized back, but it's also got the aluminum frame on it, so it's got a nice weight to it. It's got some heft. It feels good. You can't drop this thing. It's just ergonomically, it's probably the most perfect device ever made. The power button on top, you've got the volume rocker over here on the right hand side. On the left hand side, one nice addition, we've got the SD card slot and the SIM card slot. You can use a SIM removal tool to get those open. You don't have to pop the back off, none of that stuff. Well, it was good that they increased the battery size. It's got about 400 milliamps larger than the Q10, but they did bump it up to a 3.5-inch screen instead of a 3.1-inch screen. I really felt like it was a good experience. Even using it now in 2020, it still feels like proportionally, it feels great. And I really have been enjoying using it and testing it out again. Now, like I said, it was nice that they included the ability to take these out with the SIM tool because you can't take the back off on this one. Like if you go to the Q10, on the Q10, you can take the back off of it, you can pop the battery out and put another one in. So people did have some hangups over the Classic because the battery is integrated. You can't take the back off, you can't replace the battery. So that was kind of an issue. Now this one actually is an AT&T model. They had this on AT&T, they had it, can't remember if they had it on T-Mobile. I think they had it on T-Mobile, they had it on Verizon, and I'm not even sure if the Verizon ones work anymore, which is kind of unfortunate because of the way the bands work, but you can still use this with AT&T if you have an unlocked model. You can use it with T-Mobile. I kind of got screwed when I bought this. It was supposed to be unlocked. I put my T-Mobile SIM card in it. It says it's locked, so not a whole lot I can do about that. But when I did use it, it used to work great on T-Mobile. I didn't have any problems with it at all. You can get the LTE signal because it's got support for LTE bands in here. The battery will last you all day long. You don't have to worry about that. I never had any issues with the battery life on these. And just like any phone, if you really dig down and you use it, you can kill it in a day. But for normal business operations and communication, a little bit of media consumption, you're going to be perfectly fine. Now, the screen is 720 by 720p resolution. It's got the square, 1:1 aspect ratio. It's not like the 16 by 9 or the more elongated ones, the different aspect ratios that you have with the stretch resolutions. It's just square. And that was one of the problems we had with like Android apps because it was like trying to put a rectangle block into a square hole. It just didn't really work out all that well. I think they've since figured that out with some of the Android stuff nowadays. But back then, it was nice. You had the BlackBerry 10 apps. You also had Android apps. And the cool thing with the Android apps, you still have the Amazon store on here, so you can get access to a lot of apps. It runs Android 4.3. It's basically kind of like emulation. So you've got the overlay on the BlackBerry 10 system where you can run Android apps. You still have native apps. All the native ones are pretty good. It has the best clock, and I kind of going off on a tangent here, but I totally loved the clock and the alarm clock that was on here. It worked out so well. You can see here, you just spin the little dial around and set it to where you want, and then it tells you how much time until the alarm goes off. It was super cool. I totally loved it. So there's my nerd out on that. You can see it's running the latest version of BlackBerry 10, 10.3.3, but it's been so long since it's been updated. It's not really, it's kind of just on life support. It's there. BlackBerry doesn't really do anything with it. I don't anticipate that they'll ever do anything with it. And of course, if they did at this point, I mean, the operating system is so old now, and the hardware really is what's so old on these things. So if we ever get a refresh, if they could just make another device and put like a quad-core processor, I mean, they could make like basically a $350 version with BB10 and update the browser, and I would totally buy it. But either way, so the tool belt works out great. You got your menu button, your back button, your end call, and your make call phone button, make phone call button. You just press that and it'll pull up to make phone calls. Hit the end button, and then of course if you hit the end button, it'll take you back to the home screen, which is nice. So all I have to do, so let's say you're in an app, go ahead and hit it. Takes you back to the home screen there. You can see the menu, and then that'll pull down your menu shade. So lots of cool things. It was great the way they integrated it. And then one other great masterpiece of the keypad was the trackpad here. So you got the trackpad. You can use that to shift back and forth between the apps, which I never really found that to be all that helpful. But where it's super helpful is when you go in and you're using it to type, like select text and move the cursor around. It's so nice. And you can see here, you can use it. You can select all. You can erase stuff, you can select and copy, and then you can paste, you can move the cursor around to where you want it. It really was nice, and especially being something that's geared towards communication, it was wonderful. The keyboard, totally awesome. You've got the number pad on there over here on the left-hand side, the full QWERTY keyboard, just like typing on a regular keyboard. You got your Alt and your Shift keys, which make it amazing for all of your communication. You can type so fast. I can type over 50 words per minute with over 90% accuracy on this thing, and I haven't even been using it that much. I mean, back when I used to use this thing all the time, I could really fly. And I'm still pretty good with it because I use BlackBerrys all the time, but an amazing keyboard. And you can even go to the little typing test thing. I popped up here, and you can test it for yourself and see, but it works so well. The speakers are pretty decent on here. I actually kind of enjoy it, and it doesn't drain the battery too terribly much. And headphone jack on the top. It's got everything that you could need. You can still go in there and you can pick up some apps. Definitely go check out Kiwi Wonder. It's my most favorite BlackBerry game of all time, and I still download it and I still play it. And of course, they have it on Android now, which is cool. But there's some other stuff in there. And then you can, of course, sideload apps. I put Alto's Odyssey on here. I put Spotify on here. I put WhatsApp on here. If you're wondering about using WhatsApp, it doesn't have native BlackBerry 10 support anymore, so you have to get the APK, which is the Android software file, and install it on here. But it works, which is nice. I don't know how long it's going to work, but it works. You can also see that Pinterest works here. If you're associated with a Google account, though, you can't. So if you want to use a Pinterest account, you're going to have to create one and then associate it with something that's not a Google ID or a Google email address. So I was able, my wife's uses Yahoo, so I logged in and tested it out, and hers works perfectly fine. But there's some other games like Doodle Jump, you can see Cut the Rope, a couple of other things on here, and they actually run really well. The Android emulation is actually really good for some of them. It's hit or miss with the apps. Some of them work better than others, and some of them don't. And I've heard that people can download the Play Store, the Android Play Store. Somehow I haven't messed with it too much. Back when you used to sideload apps all the time, I did it a long time ago, and then the way I did it stopped working. So there's supposed to be a way that you can do it now. I just haven't messed with it yet. So you can check that out. You can still get your email and everything to work. The hub is great, and it's one nice thing that about BlackBerry 10, you can always access it from anywhere just by swiping up and over. You could be in the middle of typing something, go to an app and go do something else, be playing a game, and then swipe up and over and go right back to where you left off. It was seamless, and it never really worked out that way for Android, but it was so nice on BlackBerry 10. But overall, the core experience is still really good. It doesn't feel like it's slow. It doesn't feel like it's missing a beat. It was so efficient, and it was so smooth, and you can see a lot of these things that carried over now. We're using Android 10, we're using iOS. It's all the same stuff. Swipe up and over, swipe up, swipe down, swipe back and forth. There were so many things that were way ahead of their times. The pop-up notifications for text message where you could reply in-app. A lot of these things were firsts with the BlackBerry 10 operating system, or they were refined by, I think, Palm OS or something like that. It had some other things like the little menus and things like that. But BlackBerry 10 did so many things so well. It just didn't have the app support that it needed to survive. Of course, they made a deal with a bunch of app developers to have a whole bunch ready and available once BlackBerry 10 came out. But when it came out, it was basically a whole bunch of just shell apps. They weren't really all that real. There wasn't anything there, or they were linked to other things. It just didn't have a whole lot of substance. And finally they got some stuff on board. They did like a licensing agreement with like Rovio. They brought the Angry Birds games over, and that was cool. And there was a lot of exciting moments, but it was just seemed like we could just never quite get there. And so much stuff was embedded, required Android services, Android or Google Play services, all that stuff. So it was difficult. And you could sideload some of those things because people were smart enough to get them to work. But officially, it never really supported a lot of things, especially like Instagram. So I think social media is one of the things that kind of killed it because people wanted to be able to use social media. And yeah, that's good and all. And we could use certain things on the browser like Facebook and Twitter, but now you can't use Twitter anymore. I've heard that there's like a Twitter client out there that somebody's made that works, but I haven't been able to do that yet. But you don't have native or really third-party Twitter support anymore. It won't recognize the API. You can't connect. You can still use your email just fine. You can log in Google, Yahoo, all that stuff, integrate it and set it up. And yeah, the core experience on here is still great. I've totally enjoyed using this phone. It brings back so much nostalgia, and I just wish that I could get an updated version of this. If, like I said, if they could, I would pay $500. I mean, I'd probably pay $600 if they could just put a moderate quad-core or 8-core processor in here. Give me 6 gigabytes of RAM, and you could still use BB10 on here and just continue to, if they just update the Android emulation, I'd be totally happy. So I could use like my banking apps, I could use some social media stuff. I use Twitter all the time. You can use Twitter on here through the browser. It's like the light version, and you don't get notifications, and it's kind of dumbed down, but it still works a little bit. There are a lot of workarounds you can do to make this work for things that you want to use, but by and large, it's just, if you're trying to do stuff outside of the core functions or stuff that are BlackBerry native apps, then you start the experience starts to diminish, and then the availability of things is questionable. Some Android things work, some Android things don't work. Largely, it's dependent on Google services and if it requires any of that stuff. So that's all I've got on my look at the BlackBerry Classic in 2020. Totally love this phone. Of course, like I said, it came in white, also came in the cobalt blue. The blue one was so beautiful. I wish I kicked myself all the time for having got rid of it. And even now, I mean, it's worth a lot of money now. I mean, relatively. I mean, I'm not going to pay for a used one now, but it's probably one of the most beautiful phones ever, outside of my white and gold BlackBerry Q10, which I totally love. So that's all I've got. Hopefully this has been helpful. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you enjoyed looking at the BlackBerry Classic again. It is a classic for a reason. It doesn't get old. It always looks great. It's iconic, and it works like a champ. If you just want to use texting, some light browsing, if you just want to use it for business purposes, PDFs, Excel sheets, Word, there are so many things that you can still do on here that work well. And then there's some gaming and some things you can still sideload, or you can download the Android app files for. So that's all I've got. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them down in the comments section. I'll get back with you. Like I said in the beginning, if you enjoyed the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell so you can get updates on the latest and greatest. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you being here, and I'll see you guys next time.